The massive Imperial ship appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. Its dark metal hull stretched 20 kilometers from end to end, blocking out the stars like an artificial eclipse. On the bridge of the human defense fleet's flagship Guardian, Admiral Reed stood calmly, his weathered hands clasped behind his back as he studied the alien vessel. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies," reported Officer Smith, her fingers dancing across the holographic display. "Should we respond?" Reed nodded slowly. At 60 years old, he had spent 4 decades preparing humanity for this moment. "Open the channel." The screen flickered to life, revealing a tall, gray-skinned being adorned in elaborate golden armor. Emperor Thax of the Galactic Empire stood with the arrogance of someone who had conquered 1,000 worlds. His large, purple eyes narrowed as he examined the humans before him. "Primitive beings," Thax announced, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into English. "Your planet has been chosen for integration into the Galactic Empire. Surrender now, and we will ensure your species serves a useful purpose in our civilization." Reed's face remained neutral, but his blue eyes hardened. "Emperor Thax, we welcome peaceful contact with your empire, but Earth is not open for conquest. I suggest we discuss trade and diplomatic relations instead." Laughter echoed through the communication channel, a harsh, grinding sound that set teeth on edge. "You mistake this for a negotiation, human. We have conquered species far more advanced than yours. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Look upon our ship. It could destroy your entire fleet with a single blast." "Size isn't everything, Emperor," Reed replied quietly. "We've studied your approach to other worlds. You're used to species that bow down before your technological superiority. But humans, we're different." "Different?" Thax sneered. "Your ships are tiny. Your weapons are primitive. Your cities are vulnerable. What makes you different?" Reed stepped closer to the screen. Around him, the bridge crew worked silently, their hands hovering over weapon controls. They had drilled for this scenario countless times. "We've spent our entire history fighting ourselves, Emperor. Every weapon you see, every defense system we have, was born from thousands of years of warfare. We've learned to be creative, to adapt, to survive." "Spare me your speeches," Thax interrupted. "You have 1 Earth day to surrender. If you refuse, we will demonstrate our power by destroying your largest city." Reed's expression turned to one of genuine concern, not for Earth, but for the Empire. "Emperor, I'm trying to save your people's lives. Look into Earth's history. Look at how we fight. We don't want war, but if you force our hand—" He paused, choosing his words carefully. "We warned the last alien species that tried to invade. They didn't listen either." This caught Thax's attention. "Last species. There is no record of other spacefaring races discovering Earth." "Exactly." Reed let the implication hang in the air. "This is your only warning, Emperor Thax. Run. Run while you still can." The Emperor's face contorted with rage. "You dare threaten the Galactic Empire?" "Commander Dorn." A second alien appeared on the screen, this one wearing battle armor. "Yes, my Emperor. Prepare the conquest fleet. Show these humans what happens to species that defy us." Reed shook his head sadly. "These are your final moments to change your mind, Emperor. Once we start fighting back, we won't stop until we've won." "You have spirit, human," Thax admitted. "Your species will make excellent slaves once we break that spirit. Farewell, Admiral Reed. Your next communication will be your surrender." The transmission cut off. Reed turned to his crew, their faces illuminated by the soft blue glow of their displays. "Send word to all Earth defense stations," he ordered. "Activate the quantum shields, launch our stealth satellites, and—" He paused, a grim smile crossing his face. "Wake up our AI defense systems. The Empire wants to see humanity at war. Let's show them why every species that finds Earth gets the same warning. Run." As the crew rushed to follow his orders, Reed watched the Imperial ship through the viewport. Soon, they would learn what humans already knew: that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons or technology, but their unlimited capacity to adapt, innovate, and overcome any challenge. The human race had spent millennia preparing for this moment. Now, the Galactic Empire was about to learn why. Commander Dorn stood proudly on his command ship's bridge, watching as 1,000 Imperial warships emerged from hyperspace around Earth. Each vessel was a masterpiece of Imperial engineering, carrying enough firepower to level a continent. The sight would have made any other species surrender immediately. "Status report," he ordered, his translated voice echoing across the bridge. "All ships in position, Commander," his second-in-command reported. "The humans appear to be doing nothing." Dorn frowned. The human ships remained in their original positions, making no attempt to flee or regroup. Their primitive vessels looked absurdly small compared to the Imperial fleet. "Send the final warning," Dorn commanded. "Then target their largest city." The message was brief: surrender or watch your world burn. On the Guardian, Admiral Reed received the message with a slight smile. "Send our response," he ordered. A single word appeared on the Imperial command ship's screen: "No." Dorn's gray skin flushed with anger. "Fire the primary weapons. Show these primitives the might of the Empire." 1,000 energy beams, each powerful enough to vaporize a mountain, streaked toward Earth. The Imperial crew watched eagerly, expecting to see continents crack and oceans boil. Instead, the beams hit something invisible about 10,000 kilometers from Earth's surface. The energy scattered in a beautiful display of colors, like aurora borealis spanning the globe. "Impossible," Dorn shouted. "What is this?" "Sir," his science officer's voice shook. "They have some kind of quantum shield technology. Our sensors didn't detect it because it exists in multiple dimensions at once." Before Dorn could respond, Officer Smith's voice broadcast across every Imperial channel. "Thank you for testing our shields. Now it's our turn." Small objects began appearing around the Imperial fleet, satellites barely larger than shuttlecraft. The Empire's sensors hadn't detected them because they had been there all along, hidden by stealth technology far beyond Imperial understanding. "Those toys can't harm our ships," Dorn scoffed. "Our shields air." He never finished the sentence. The satellites activated, creating a web of quantum-entangled energy that ignored Imperial shields completely. 20 Imperial ships vanished instantly, converted into their base atomic particles. "How?" Dorn screamed. "Their technology was primitive. We saw their cities, their vehicles. You saw what we wanted you to see." Reed's voice came through clearly. "While your empire spent millennia conquering easier targets, we humans spent our time preparing for exactly this scenario." The Imperial fleet began to break formation. More satellites activated. More ships disappeared. Dorn watched in horror as his mighty fleet was torn apart by weapons that, according to Imperial science, couldn't possibly exist. "Launch fighters," he ordered desperately. "Fire all weapons." Thousands of Imperial fighters poured from the capital ships. But as they approached Earth, something new appeared on their sensors. Swarms of small, fast-moving objects rose from Earth's surface. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the humans are launching drones." The drones were crude-looking machines, barely larger than a human, but they moved with impossible speed and precision. Each one was controlled by an AI that could make combat decisions 1,000 times faster than any living pilot. Imperial fighters exploded by the hundreds. The survivors tried to retreat, only to find their navigation systems compromised by human cyber warfare. The Empire's supposedly unhackable computers proved defenseless against human viral AI. "Send the distress signal," Dorn ordered. "We need reinforcements." "Sir," his communication officer's voice was barely a whisper, "our quantum communicators aren't working. We're being jammed." "But that's not possible. Nothing can block quantum communications." Reed's voice came through one final time. "We warned you to run, Commander Dorn. The Empire isn't ready for humanity. We've spent centuries imagining every possible way aliens might attack us. We've prepared for scenarios your Empire hasn't even thought of yet." As Dorn watched his fleet crumble, he finally understood. The Empire had grown complacent, relying on the same tactics and technology that had worked for thousands of years. But humans had never stopped innovating, never stopped preparing. They had warned the Empire to run. Now it was too late. Captain Marcus walked through the massive underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, his footsteps echoing off metal walls. Behind him, Emperor Thax's hologram floated, forced to watch through the quantum-encrypted feed that human forces had hijacked during the battle. "This is impossible," Thax muttered, his translator barely keeping up with his agitated clicks. "Your civilization only achieved spaceflight a few centuries ago." Marcus smiled, running his hand along a row of sleek missiles. "True, but do you know what we were doing before that? Fighting ourselves. Learning. Evolving." He stopped at a viewing window overlooking a massive chamber. "This is why we warned you to run." Below them, thousands of combat robots moved in perfect formation. Unlike the clunky Imperial war machines, these were slim, fast, and deadly, each one powered by an AI that could learn and adapt during battle. "Your Empire has been using the same weapons, the same tactics for what? 10,000 years. Marcus continued. "Humans, we change our warfare tactics daily. We never stop improving." The tour continued to a massive hangar where engineers worked on strange-looking ships. "Notice anything odd about these vessels, Emperor?" Thax's hologram studied them. "They're different sizes, different designs. Inefficient. Imperial ships follow standard patterns for maximum predictability." Marcus interrupted. "Every Imperial ship is the same, which means once we learn to beat one, we can beat them all." He gestured to the various vessels. "Each human ship is unique. Different weapons, different defenses. Your fleet never knows what they're facing." They entered a dark room that suddenly lit up with thousands of holographic displays. "This is our war room," Marcus explained. "We're running 10 million combat simulations every second, testing new strategies, new technologies, finding ways to counter every possible Imperial tactic. But our spies," Thax sputtered. "They reported primitive weapons, basic spacecraft." Marcus laughed. "Those weren't spies, Emperor. They were tourists. We let them see exactly what we wanted them to see." He waved his hand, and the hologram showed images of ordinary-looking cities. "See those skyscrapers? Each one hides a missile silo. Those primitive satellites, quantum weapon platforms. Even our civilian vehicles have military capabilities built in." They stopped at the final chamber. Inside, a swarm of microscopic robots floated in a containment field. "Know what these are?" Marcus asked. Thax squinted. "Some kind of nanotech weapon. Close. These are repair bots. When your fleet damaged one of our quantum shields, these little guys fixed it in microseconds. We don't just build weapons, Emperor. We build ways to make our weapons unstoppable." The hologram of Thax flickered as he processed this information. "Why? Why show me all this?" Marcus's expression turned serious. "Because you need to understand what you're facing. Humans don't want to rule the galaxy. We don't want to destroy the Empire. We just want to be left alone. But if you force us to fight..." He let the threat hang in the air. "One more thing you should know," Marcus continued, leading them to a final display. It showed hundreds of ships under construction in hidden facilities across the solar system. "Remember how your fleet couldn't send a distress signal? Right now, human ships are setting up quantum jammers around every Imperial world. If you send another fleet, they'll be just as blind as the first one." Thax's hologram showed the first signs of fear. "You've been preparing for war all this time." "No, Emperor. We've been preparing for peace. Everything you've seen is defensive technology. Imagine what would happen if we decided to actually attack. Marcus turned to face the hologram directly. So I'll give you the same warning we gave Commander Dorn. Run. Take your empire and leave Earth alone. Because if you force us to show you our offensive capabilities. He smiled grimly. Well, let's just say there's a reason no alien species has ever successfully invaded Earth. As Thax's hologram faded away, Marcus looked out over the facility. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, building an arsenal that combined their greatest strengths: innovation, adaptability, and the determination to protect their home at any cost. The Empire had just gotten its first real glimpse of what they were facing. Now they had to decide, retreat, or face the full might of human ingenuity. Commander West stood in the shadows of an abandoned space station, watching his team of 12 soldiers check their phase shift suits. They looked like normal spacesuits, but their technology was anything but normal. Each suit could bend light and matter around it, making the wearer practically invisible. Remember, West whispered into his comm, we're not here to fight their whole army. Hit fast, hit hard, and disappear. The Imperial supply base floated before them, a massive structure that kept the Empire's warships fueled and armed. 5,000 Imperial troops guarded it, but they were guarding against the wrong kind of attack. Ghost Team ready? West asked. Ready, came 11 whispered replies. West activated his phase shift suit. The technology, developed in secret over decades, allowed humans to briefly step between normal space. They couldn't be seen, couldn't be detected, and could walk right through solid walls. The team moved silently through the vacuum of space. Imperial sensors saw nothing. Their guards watched empty corridors. The humans walked right past them, through walls and security barriers, like ghosts in the machine. They reached the central reactor. West pulled out a small device, another piece of technology that would give Imperial scientists nightmares. It looked like a simple metal cube, but inside it contained a tiny artificial black hole, kept stable by quantum fields. Charges set, one soldier reported. 10 minutes until the reactor's containment field fails. Good, West replied. Now for Phase 2. The team split up, moving through the station like invisible wraiths. They planted more devices, not bombs, but quantum computers carrying the most aggressive computer viruses ever created. By the time they were detected, these viruses would have spread through the entire Imperial network. An alarm suddenly blared. Intruder alert. Human energy signatures detected. West smiled. Right on schedule. The Empire's sensors were finally catching up, but far too late. All teams, phase shift now, he ordered. The humans activated their suits' primary function. For 30 seconds, they could step completely out of normal space-time. Not even light could touch them. They watched as Imperial troops rushed past, shooting at empty air. Sir, the Imperial base commander reported to his superiors, we're detecting human activity, but we can't. They're everywhere and nowhere. Our weapons pass right through them. The humans reappeared on their stealth ship, safely hidden behind a nearby moon. They watched as panic spread through the Imperial base. Reactor breach imminent. Imperial voices shouted over the comm. Containment failing. Evacuate. Evac. The station didn't explode. Instead, it imploded, crushed by the artificial black hole. In less than a minute, one of the Empire's largest supply bases simply vanished from existence. But that wasn't the real victory. The computer viruses were already spreading through Imperial networks, gathering intelligence and preparing for the next phase of human attacks. Command, this is Ghost Team, West reported. Phase 1 complete. Moving to next target. On Earth, Admiral Reed received the report with satisfaction. This was how humans had always fought their most successful wars, not with huge armies and direct battles, but with small teams striking where the enemy least expected. Sir, Officer Smith called out, we're getting reports from all sectors. Ghost teams are hitting Imperial bases across 50 star systems. They have no defense against our phase shift technology. Reed nodded. The Empire had built their defenses expecting massive fleets and direct attacks. They weren't prepared for humans who could walk through walls, ships that could vanish from space itself, and weapons that broke the laws of physics. Send word to all teams, Reed ordered. Keep hitting their supply lines. Let's show the Empire why Earth's history books are filled with stories of smaller forces defeating larger ones. In his command center, Emperor Thax watched in horror as reports flooded in. Human strike teams were appearing and disappearing at will, destroying vital installations across his empire. Their impossible technology made mockery of Imperial defenses. How? He demanded. How can they be everywhere at once? The answer was simple. Humans had spent centuries perfecting the art of guerrilla warfare. Now they were applying those same tactics on a galactic scale, and the mighty Empire had no answer for them. Officer Brown sat in the dimly lit control room, surrounded by screens showing Imperial communication channels. As part of Project Nightmare, her job wasn't to fight the Empire. It was to make them fight themselves. Send the next broadcast, she ordered, her fingers moving across the holographic controls. Across Imperial space, thousands of soldiers received the same video, a human strike team walking through solid walls, Imperial weapons passing harmlessly through them like ghosts. The video was real footage from previous attacks, carefully edited to seem even more terrifying. Add the whispers, Brown commanded. Her team activated the subliminal audio channels. Hidden beneath Imperial communications, barely noticeable messages played constantly. They can't be stopped. They're everywhere. No defense works against them. On an Imperial battleship, a young soldier jumped at every shadow. Commander, he called out, his voice shaking. I saw something move through that wall. Nothing can move through walls, his commander snapped, but even he wasn't sure anymore. Admiral Reed's voice suddenly broadcast across every Imperial channel. To all Imperial forces, we're giving you one last chance to leave. Ask yourselves, have you ever seen your weapons hurt a human? Are you sure we're even capable of dying? In the Imperial capital, Emperor Thax received the latest reports. 3 more fleets had refused to fight, their crews too terrified to face the humans. Stories spread through the Empire like wildfire. They have invisible ships that can appear anywhere. Their soldiers walk through walls. Their weapons break the laws of physics. No one who fights them ever comes back. Back in the control room, Brown watched the panic spread. Launch Operation Ghost Story, she ordered. Across Imperial space, children began whispering a new rhyme in playgrounds. When silence falls and shadows creep, the humans come while you're asleep. Through walls they walk, through shields they pass, to make sure you're not breathing last. Imperial parents begged their leaders to surrender. Soldiers requested transfers away from human space. The mighty Imperial war machine was grinding to a halt, paralyzed by fear of an enemy they couldn't understand. Sir, Brown reported to Admiral Reed, psychological operations are working better than expected. Imperial morale is at an all-time low. Reed nodded. Good. Now for the masterstroke. Launch the drones. Small, stealthy drones appeared in Imperial cities across 100 worlds. They didn't attack. They just watched. Sometimes they let themselves be seen, floating silently outside windows or hovering over military bases. Then they would vanish, leaving the Imperial citizens to wonder what they had been looking for. In his palace, Emperor Thax watched his empire crumble from within. Stop spreading these human stories, he ordered. They're just trying to scare us. But sir, his advisor replied, the stories are true. We've all seen them. The humans, they're not like anyone we've ever fought before. On Earth, Brown received another report. Imperial desertion rates had reached 50%. Recruitment had dropped to 0. The mighty empire was defeating itself. Humans are scarier when you can't see them, she explained to her team. We don't need to destroy their armies. We just need them to destroy their own courage. She pulled up another screen, showing Imperial children drawing pictures of human soldiers walking through walls. Those children would grow up afraid of humans, and they would teach their children to be afraid too. "Sir," she reported to Reed, "Project Nightmare is fully operational. The Empire is starting to believe humans are unstoppable supernatural beings." Reed smiled. Throughout history, humans had learned that fear could be a more powerful weapon than any bomb. Now they were using that knowledge to defeat an empire not through force, but through terror. "Remember," he told his staff, "the best victory is the one where the enemy defeats themselves." Across the galaxy, Imperial citizens looked at the stars and wondered, were the humans watching them right now? Could they appear at any moment, walking through walls like ghosts? The Empire had faced many enemies before, but never one that haunted their dreams like this. Lieutenant Parker stood before the Council of Enslaved Species on a secret base hidden in an asteroid belt. Representatives from 50 different alien races watched her with a mixture of hope and fear. Each of them had suffered under Imperial rule for thousands of years. "You've all seen what humans can do," Parker said, her voice firm and clear. "We've proved the Empire isn't invincible. Now we're offering you the chance to free yourselves." A tall, blue-skinned alien stood up. "The Empire crushed our last rebellion in days. What makes this time different?" Parker smiled and pressed a button. A hologram appeared, showing the schematics for human phase shift technology. "This time, you'll have our help." The room erupted in excited whispers. The blue alien's eyes widened. "You would share your technology with us." "Not just share it," Parker replied. "We'll teach you how to make it better." That's something the Empire never understood about humans. We don't just create technology. We help others improve it. On the main screen, reports began flowing in from across Imperial space. The rock-like Graxians had used human stealth tech to free their mining colonies. The crystalline Lumini had adapted quantum shields to protect their rebel fleets. Every species was taking human innovations and adding their own unique touches. "Sir," Officer Smith reported to Admiral Reed back on Earth, "the revolution is spreading faster than we expected. 300 Imperial worlds are now in open rebellion." Reed watched the tactical display as more and more systems turned from Imperial red to Rebellion green. "The Empire made a crucial mistake," he said. "They thought conquering Earth would make them stronger. Instead, they showed every enslaved species that resistance was possible." In his palace, Emperor Thax received increasingly desperate reports. The Kantar, masters of biotechnology, had combined their organic ships with human phase shift drives. The Makari, experts in artificial intelligence, had improved human combat drones with their own advanced programming. "My Emperor," his advisor reported, trembling, "we've lost contact with the entire Outer Rim. The rebels are using human technology to disable our communications networks." Thax slammed his fist on his throne. "These humans, they're not just fighting us, they're teaching everyone else how to fight us too." Back at the rebel base, Parker continued her presentation. The Empire maintained control by keeping species isolated, preventing them from sharing knowledge. "But humans, we believe knowledge should be shared." She displayed another hologram, showing human teachers working with alien engineers. "We've established training centers on 50 hidden worlds. Your people can learn everything we know about warfare, technology, and resistance." A small, insect-like alien raised its appendage. "But why help us? What do humans gain?" "Because that's what humans do," Parker explained. "Throughout our history, whenever we saw oppression, many of us chose to help those fighting against it. It's in our nature." The revolution spread like wildfire. Species that had been enemies under Imperial rule now fought side by side, using human tactics and technology in ways even humans hadn't imagined. The Empire's rigid military doctrine had no answer for this combination of human innovation and alien adaptation. "The Empire thought they could break us by forcing us to serve," the blue alien said, now leading a rebel fleet. "Instead, humans taught us how to break our own chains." On Earth, Reed received the latest intelligence. Sir, Imperial forces are retreating from 70% of their territory. The combined rebel fleets are pushing them back to their core worlds. Reed nodded with satisfaction. The Empire had expected to fight just humans. Instead, they were facing the combined might of 50 species, all armed with human technology and burning with the desire for freedom. Send word to Lieutenant Parker, Reed ordered. Tell her to prepare the final phase. It's time to show the Empire what happens when they unite the galaxy against them. Across Imperial space, a new message began spreading. The humans showed us the way. Now it's our turn to show the Empire why they should have run when they had the chance. The Imperial Palace on Capital World stood silent. Once, it had commanded 1,000,000 worlds. Now, human ships and their alien allies surrounded the planet, while 50 different rebel fleets waited in orbit. Admiral Reed walked calmly through the golden halls, his footsteps echoing in the emptiness. No guards tried to stop him. No weapons fired at him. The empire that had threatened Earth just months ago had crumbled from within. Emperor Thax waited in his throne room, his once bright armor now dulled and scratched. He watched as Reed approached, followed by representatives from each rebel species. "Have you come to destroy us?" Thax asked quietly. Reed stopped before the throne. "No, we've come to offer you a choice." The Emperor laughed bitterly. "A choice? You've destroyed our fleets, freed our slaves, and crushed our power. What choice remains?" "The choice to change," Reed replied. He activated a hologram showing Earth's history. "Look at our past, Emperor. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other. Empires rose and fell. But we learned from each failure. We grew. We changed." Images flashed by. Ancient wars, peaceful revolutions, societies transforming themselves. Every human empire had to face this moment, adapt or die. Now it's your turn. Thax stood slowly. "You could wipe us out. Your phase shift weapons could destroy this planet in seconds. Why offer us mercy?" "Because that's the real difference between humans and your empire," Reed explained. "You only knew how to conquer. We learned how to forgive." Lieutenant Parker stepped forward, displaying plans on her holographic projector. "We're offering to help rebuild the Empire, not as conquerors, but as equals. Every species working together, sharing knowledge and resources." "Impossible," Thax protested. "The Empire has ruled through strength for 10,000 years." "And where did that strength get you?" Reed asked. "Your own people are rebelling. Your armies won't fight. Your empire is falling apart because you never learned the most important lesson. True strength comes from unity, not control." The alien representatives moved forward, each sharing stories of how humans had helped them fight for freedom. The blue-skinned alien spoke last. "They could have just defeated you, Emperor. Instead, they taught us all how to be better." Thax sank back into his throne. "And if we refuse this, mercy?" Reed's expression hardened. "Then we finish this. But know this, it won't be humans who end your empire. It will be all the species you oppressed, working together with technology we taught them. You won't be defeated by Earth alone, but by the very unity you tried to prevent." Officer Smith's voice came through Reed's communicator. "Sir, the quantum network is ready. Whatever the Emperor decides, all worlds will hear it." Reed nodded to Thax. "The choice is yours, Emperor. Lead your people into a new age of cooperation, or go down in history as the last ruler of a failed empire. We warned you to run. Now we're offering you the chance to walk forward instead." Silence filled the throne room. Thax looked at each face, human and alien alike. He saw not conquered subjects, but proud, free beings standing together. Finally, he stood and removed his crown. 10,000 years of empire," he said quietly, "and humans taught us more about true power in a few months than we ever learned through conquest." He placed the crown on the floor. "We choose to change." Reed smiled, extending his hand. "Then let's begin. Earth stands ready to help build something new from the ashes of the old empire. As news spread across the galaxy, celebrations erupted on countless worlds. The empire that had ruled through fear for millennia had been defeated not by weapons, but by humanity's greatest strength, the power to adapt, to forgive, and to help others rise. Send word to Earth, Reed ordered. Tell them the war is over, not through destruction, but through choice. The message that spread across the stars was simple. We warned them to run. Instead, they learned to walk with us. And so the galaxy entered a new age, guided not by the Empire's iron fist, but by humanity's extended hand.